There are seasons in life that refuse to make sense no matter how hard a man tries to understand them. Seasons where everything feels like it's falling apart but nothing is clearly broken. Where doors close without reason. Where people leave without explanation. Where opportunities dry up even though nothing changed in the effort or the approach. And in those seasons, most people assume the worst. They think they're being punished. They believe they're cursed, defective, or simply unlucky. They spiral into the story that something is fundamentally wrong with them, that the universe has singled them out for suffering while everyone else moves forward. But what if that assumption is completely wrong? What if the confusion, the delay, the loss, the unexplainable emptiness isn't a sign that something went wrong, but evidence that something is being arranged? In this video, we will go through 5 unmistakable signs that preparation is happening beneath the surface, even when nothing on the surface confirms it. By the end of this video, the chaos that feels like collapse might start to look like construction, and much more. So let me walk through them. The first sign is unexplainable discomfort with a current life that looks perfectly fine from the outside. The job is stable. The relationships function. The routine holds. On paper, everything should feel acceptable, maybe even good. But something inside refuses to settle. There's an agitation that won't quiet down. A restlessness that doesn't match the circumstances. A persistent sense that this isn't it, even when there's no clear picture of what it is supposed to look like. Most people try to medicate that feeling away. They call it anxiety and sedate it. They call it ingratitude and shame themselves for it. They assume something is broken inside them because they can't feel content with what they have. But that discomfort isn't dysfunction. It's departure energy. The soul recognizes what the mind hasn't caught up to yet. It can feel the edges of a life that no longer fits, even though the new one hasn't arrived to replace it. The second sign is isolation that wasn't chosen. Friends drift without conflict. Social invitations slow to a trickle. Time alone increases dramatically, not by decision but by circumstance. The phone stops ringing. The calendar empties, and it wasn't a conscious withdrawal. This can feel like abandonment, like being forgotten, like the world collectively decided to move on without sending a memo. But look closer. What if the crowd had to clear so something could be heard that was never audible before? What if the noise of constant connection was drowning out a signal trying to redirect an entire path? Sometimes loneliness isn't loss. It's clearing, space being made, noise being removed, bandwidth being freed for something that requires full attention when it arrives. The third sign is repeated obstacles in paths that used to work perfectly. The same approach that brought success before suddenly stops working. Applications that should land go unanswered. Relationships that should progress stall or collapse. Every familiar door seems sealed shut while new doors remain invisible. And the natural response is to assume failure, to believe the skills have faded or the luck has run out. But there's another possibility. Maybe those paths were never meant to be permanent destinations, only training grounds. And now that the training is complete, life is refusing to allow backward motion. It's not punishment, it's protection. Being blocked from the old so there's no choice but to find the new. The fourth sign is an internal shift that defies explanation. Things that used to matter intensely lose their grip. Goals that once drove every decision suddenly feel hollow. People who used to seem impressive now appear empty. The entire value system that shaped years of choices starts to crumble without any obvious cause. This is deeply disorienting because identity gets built around desires. A man knows himself by what he wants, what he pursues, what he's willing to sacrifice for. And when those wants dissolve, the question of who he even is becomes genuinely unclear. But this isn't a breakdown, it's a shedding. The snake doesn't grieve the skin it leaves behind. It simply grows into what was always waiting underneath. Old desires falling away isn't loss of direction. It's realignment with a direction that was there before the noise covered it up. The fifth sign is a quiet knowing that something is coming without any evidence to support it. Not hope exactly, not wishful thinking, something steadier. A sense that despite the confusion, despite the closed doors, despite the loneliness and the shifting and the discomfort, this isn't the end. That everything being removed is making space. That the delays aren't denials. That what's being prepared in the dark will eventually step into light. This knowing doesn't shout. It doesn't argue or defend itself. It simply sits there, underneath all the chaos, refusing to leave. And when that knowing remains present despite circumstances that contradict it, that's not delusion. That's alignment with something the eyes can't see yet. Now, none of this is easy to accept when someone is in the middle of it. Preparation rarely feels like blessing. It feels like breaking, like being disassembled piece by piece without any promise of reassembling. But the men whose names history remembers, the ones who changed nations, wrote works that healed millions, stood firm when everything collapsed around them, they all had one thing in common. They didn't understand their preparation while they were inside it. They only understood it looking backward. Joseph didn't know the pit and the prison were pathways to the palace. Churchill didn't know his wilderness years were sharpening him for war. Lincoln didn't know his string of devastating failures was forging the resilience that would hold a nation together. They just kept walking. One step, then another. Through confusion they couldn't resolve and darkness they couldn't explain. And eventually they arrived somewhere that made every painful step make sense. The same is true for anyone in that unnameable season right now. The discomfort, the isolation, the closed doors, the internal earthquakes, they're not random. They're architecture, the foundation of something that can't be seen yet, the clearing of ground for a structure that doesn't exist yet, the removal of everything that would have been in the way. One day the building will stand, and every painful piece will reveal its purpose. Until then, trust what can't be seen. It sees everything.